Hi there, here's the idiot urban farmer again. I got some good comments about growing beans. I got my own, let's say, stash here, and I hope it does something. I'll be, well, somebody suggested that I push them deeper into the ground. Other methods have been proposed, so I'll just try everything and I'll make a video about it here. There's also urban farming initiatives locally, and I'll check it out. It's called Gezonde Gronden or Healthy Grounds. You know, in the spirit of agoracentrism, of getting local initiatives and becoming locally autonomous, I really need to check that out then. Another thing I want to mention for you to Google or check out on YouTube is WWOOF. It's WWOOF, Weekend Work on Organic Farms. It's a whole movement that is about having organic farms and then having people work on the weekends there. You can also have a holiday in some country and work there in Hawaii or in Europe or wherever. And it's very good, I think, in spreading knowledge about organic farming. And a cheap way to travel. So, but the topic I want to mention today, let's say, that I'm continuously amazed about, is ammonia. Ammonia, you could almost say that there is a hidden option, which is called the nitrogen-based economy. Nitrogen-based economy is based wholly and totally on ammonia, on the use of it. Why is that? Well, because ammonia is a fuel. It burns. You can burn it into water and nitrogen. Nitrogen is what our atmosphere is made of for most part. Water is of course also harmless. It's not a greenhouse gas if you burn it. Of course, ammonia itself is a greenhouse gas, but if you burn it, it turns into something that is not both water and, well, of course, water vapor would be a greenhouse, has a greenhouse effect, but it burns completely clean. It's not carbon-based. And that is just the core of the whole argument, is that you can use ammonia as a fuel. If you know that, you know that you can use ammonia as a fertilizer. That means that you can use land equipment to work your land running on ammonia, using ammonia as fertilizer in your land, growing crops, and that's it. If you want to heat your home, you can burn ammonia. If you want to generate electricity, you can burn ammonia. If you want to drive from A to B, you can burn ammonia. And actually, a study on the use of ammonia in fuel in cars, which is a very old thing, and that there's a very old video on YouTube also. I believe Jack Nicholson actually was promoting it at one time. It's found that ammonia as a fuel is more powerful than other fuels. So it's 2.3 times more powerful in your engine, I guess, than diesel, which actually requires you to change your engine, make it stronger, if you want to burn ammonia. I guess it's not always necessary if you simply make the mixture between air and ammonia different, so you just emit less fuel. But it's a good indication of what the potential is, that the guys that are building and looking into the adaptation of their engine to ammonia find that, Jesus, it's good fuel. And it burns 100% clean once again. Actually, there's a Mercedes hybrid car that uses ammonia to clean the exhaust fumes. So after it's burned the diesel and there's some nitrogen oxide, monoxide in there, which is usually the poison that is associated with burning nitrogen compound, it is cleaned with ammonia. People that say that ammonia produces nitrogen monoxide, pollution which is harmful, are lying. Like there are so many other people that are lying, but okay, this is one big lie. Now if you simply take that, maybe that's the only thing I should say. It's like ammonia is a fuel. You can use it as a fuel. Burn it directly. You can also use it in a fuel cell. Try to dig that out of the world, out of the way the things work, because it doesn't work like that. It's not acknowledged at all. Farmers pay to remove the ammonia from the pig manure and from the cow manure and whatever, while you can separate it using a membrane that only, because ammonia is bigger than air and nitrogen and water as a molecule, so you can separate it using a simple membrane. And because if you make it colder on the other side of the membrane, the ammonia turns into a liquid. You can suck it out, basically, out of the air. That's been done. It's been done. You can generate it using windmills, which the farmers in the US now are contemplating doing, because they are now buying their ammonia from the oil companies or the oil-based chemical companies. And they're not given an alternative, because if they have ammonia on their farm from the cow and the pig manure, they have to remove it and pay for it. It's insane. So they're now contemplating using windmills to make an electrical process to generate ammonia. Connect the dots. You have ammonia out of wind power. You can use it directly in your farm equipment in your car. Don't try to extract the hydrogen and then use the hydrogen in your fuel cell. That is bullshit. Anyway, I don't have to, but you can just look into it. But I find that in the 80s they developed a process of having bacteria generate ammonia. If you just turn it around, that ammonia is a much more useful fuel than hydrogen, because it requires less adaptation, changes in your car, it burns clean, it's less expensive. But you can actually make it using bacteria. I found that they can make like an organic solar panel, and if you add water, air, which contains nitrogen, and these bacteria, and you expose them to sunlight, they start generating ammonia. You can catch that stuff, and you can drive your economy with it. If you are into farming and all that stuff, look into it, because there are so many ways. Because the way it's approached right now, and that's the last thing I'll say about it, because there's endless ways in which ammonia is treated as a malignant, dangerous stuff, and you shouldn't use it. And while at the same time, it is pretty clear from many studies that it's one of the most useful compounds you can have. And actually, if it was the only compound you didn't have fossil fuels, you would still be able to have the economy you have right now. But one of the things that you find is that as it's been treated as a waste in manure, it is turned into biogas, which is considered a good thing. And then you have to realize that if you burn biogas, you get carbon dioxide, while if you burn ammonia, you don't get carbon dioxide. So that's actually, if you are able to separate your ammonia from your manure before you try to turn it into biogas, which is also the fermentation of organic material, which produces lots of carbon dioxide, because these bacteria, they're basically they're churning through cellulose and all that stuff, and there's lots of carbon in that. So they bind it to oxygen, which is the way that they do it. If they do it anaerobically without using oxygen, they're turning the ammonia into water and nitrogen. Why not simply use the ammonia directly? Anyway, my takeaway message is look into ammonia and be amazed at how it's been mistreated, simply because it's a competitor for fossil fuels.